Welcome to Beast TV. Be careful for what you ask for. Our guest asked to go on his first Bigfoot outing. Larry and Mark drug him deep in no man's land to camp and recon the area. So get you a fresh dip and buckle up. Larry Porch II, how you doing tonight?
Mark, I'm not doing real good. You know how we talked about how fat we got over the holidays?
Uh-huh.
That started me what they call a diet. And I'm suffering.
Good luck with that.
Well, after we climbed that hill in backpacks and I almost had a heart attack, I thought, well, I can cut 15, 20 pounds off this real easy.
Yeah. It ain't so easy.
No, it ain't. But it's going to be done.
Well, last week, we went with one of our moderators, Heather Bradley, that wanted to have a roundtable discussion. And I posted it on our Facebook page, but I did not give a preview of it from the prior week before on the show. And we got a lot of great comments last week. So I kind of want to apologize for that and for not giving enough notice that if someone was interested in a topic or had a forte in it, that they could come on the show with us. So we will try that on our next roundtable at the end of one of our shows and let everybody know that anybody is welcome to come on and talk about something whenever we have a roundtable discussion. But let's get on with this week's show, Larry. Who do we have?
This week we have our buddy Rodney Beasley that we first met at the meet and greet for the Outlaws, 2 springs ago, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And we put out a call that if anybody was interested in going to LBL with us this past weekend to give us a holler. And he was first on the board. Poor Rodney. So he got to take an adventure with us. Rodney, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. You guys doing all right?
Well, I've recovered.
It took days to recover.
Yeah, definitely.
Next time I ask if I can go out with somebody, I'm going to check the temperature first.
Oh.
I said, go Bigfoot. Oh, yeah, I'm in here. Hey, Larry. Temperature's going to be what? 30 degrees? Can't back out now.
Rodney,
go ahead, Mark.
Rodney, before we get started talking about our outing, I'd like for you to just introduce yourself and give our audience some background of where you grew up, your family life, hobbies, and interests you might have.
Well, my name is Rodney Beasley. I live here in Kentucky. Grew up here. I've lived in Texas, south of Houston. I've lived in Florida and Tampa, and I've lived in Mississippi. Was a musician for years. I played with a band called Iced Earth. They're fairly famous in the power metal genre. Another band, Steel Angel. I've spent most of my life playing drums. Retired, from drumming. I'm learning guitar. And basically, I just go to work, listen to Bigfoot podcast, and sit around and play my guitar. That's basically all I do. Spend time with my family.
How many kids you got, Rodney?
I got 3 kids.
Well, they'll keep you busy.
Yeah. I got twins in college, and I got a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Busy.
Rodney, what got you interested in Bigfoot?
Pickles.
Say what?
Did you say pickles?
I said pickles. Because everybody in unison, when you ask them that question, the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a Patterson-Gimlin film, like everybody. And, and all the Bigfoot movies that came after. It piqued my interest, and you lose interest as you go through life. Just living, having kids, working, and then, later on in life, I found the podcast, Bigfoot Outlaw Radio. There's Bear and Kumbo. And they're talking about Bigfoot being in other places in the, Great Northwest. What? This is interesting. So I don't have to save up, $20,000 and go on an expedition in the Pacific Northwest. I can go out in the backyard.
Yeah.
Let's try this. But no, I haven't really done any researching. I went to the Outlaw meet and greet, met some cool people, just kind of sat back and took it all in. And, I listen to podcasts, try to pick up all that I can. Some people may remember the Spotsville Monster, kind of a famous story out there. Well, Bart Nunley, we were in one of our first bands together, because he lives here in the same place I do, right down from Spotsville, actually. But it's pretty cool.
Well, Rod,
go ahead,
Mark.
No, you go ahead, Larry.
You go ahead.
You mentioned the Outlaws meet and greet. Can you kind of give us your impression of what this experience was like and what you took away from this shing-ding?
Now, the meet and greet was kind of creepy to me, because I haven't met anybody. I just started listening to the podcast probably about 5 or 6 months previous, and listening to some things. And I went to LBL. It's the first time I've been to LBL in a long time, since I was a kid. And I drove through, got to the campground we went to, pulled in to text my wife, let her know that, hey, I made it okay. I'm only a couple hours away, but while I was sitting there, I had the window down in my van, and a loud tree snap. And it startled me. And it's across the road from the entrance. And I'm thinking, oh man, they got these boogers stirred up because they're watching this place. So I finished my text and I drove down to the campground and where I met Kumbo. That was very cool. Very cool. And then eventually, I met everybody else.
And we weren't at school.
It was a fun time, man. And I just kind of kept quiet, kept to myself. I was just taking it all in. And, I'm kind of shy that way when I don't know a lot of people. I'll just hang out and check it out. Until I know you, then I wear you out.
I was really surprised at how many people showed up for that meet and greet.
Yeah.
There had to have been over 100 people there. And I remember just walking around looking at license plates. And I mean, they were from all over. I saw one as far away as from New York. And I thought, wow, they drove all the way down here for this.
Yeah. I mean, the thing really stood out to me is you got all these people coming from everywhere. People taking off work, taking time away from their families. Um, and so these people actually really believe what they're talking about, to put that forth of an effort and spend the money and time to do that.
Yeah.
So these people really believe these things are out there.
And I remember one of my favorite people to meet there that came in was Rick Wells II from Wood Booger Farm. What a great guy he is. He's just he's the kind of guy that you would want to have for a neighbor.
Yeah.
He's just.
He parked 2 doors down from me at the campground. He was a cool guy.
Yeah.
And what stood out to you the most, Rodney, from that experience of the meet and greet?
What stood out? Well, of course, meeting Bear and Coonbo, because they were like, stars. And,
Right.
They're together. They're like the Indiana Jones of the Bigfoot world.
Yeah.
With all their stories. And, if everything happened that they say happened, oh my God, somebody should make it a movie somewhere.
I agree with that.
But everybody was really cool, laid back. And it was a lot of people. Like I said, I didn't go around and talk to a lot of people. It was good to see everybody that you heard stories about and was on the show. It was a real fun time.
So nobody was stuck up and
yeah.
pulling
No.
us out?
No.
Except for Mark.
And, like Kane and Eric, and, you didn't see those guys a lot because they were out in the field. They were out, hiking, checking things out.
Yeah,
but everybody had the campfire at night.
Yeah. Well, let's fast forward to this past week. We put out the call for anybody interested to go, and you answered it. What went through your mind whenever you were driving to LBL to meet us?
Oh, well, I was excited. And it was just kind of thrown together because, I'll go. Hey, Rod, we're going Saturday. That's like in one day. I don't have any camping gear together. I have, nothing. So I got to throw something together. There was no time to sit and think of what am I doing, And I knew you guys were cool because I met you there at the meet and greet. There was no worries about going, hanging out with you guys. That was going to be fun.
Right.
But my biggest fear was hanging out in, the freezing cold and not being prepared. Like I said, I just had to throw some stuff together. I went and bought a, backpack and a sleeping bag, and off I went.
Right.
Here we go.
So you've heard about the lore of LBL. What was your expectation on activity and stuff?
Really, I wasn't expecting a lot. Because you don't really hear a lot of stuff coming out of there anymore.
Yeah.
You guys are always there. There's never anything really big that you guys report of, seeing. I haven't heard of any violent activity there. So, I was excited to get out and look around and hike around like we did there. We didn't do as much as, I'd hoped. We just didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I said, it was just kind of thrown together. But what we did see was really cool. Whether it was booger related or not, even seeing the old stuff in LBL, the old houses and formations and, the hinges grown into the trees, the old bottles and the buggy seat.
Now, Larry kind of pinpointed this place on the topo maps, and him and Debbie Jones went out and scouted this area. What are your thoughts, your impressions of us going into this area and how, as Dan would say, boogeristic it looked?
Yeah, well, of course, I didn't have a clue we were going. It was just drive up and I was more scared to leaving my car there on the main drag. Yeah, it's just go for a ride. We started hiking down at, the hill and looking around, and I felt you guys knew where you were going. You had a direction you wanted to go in. That was, perfectly fine. I was there to learn, and it turned out to be a pretty cool spot with a creek. I mean, we had everything there that we needed. We just didn't get a lot of activity in at night. I think maybe either they weren't in that area that night, or it's the cold. Of course, we could have had some more vocals. We just couldn't hear them.
Why couldn't we hear them, Rodney?
Well, somebody snores pretty bad.
I knew that was coming.
I'm not pointing any fingers at all.
Now Larry's got you beating this dead horse.
Well, I mean, if you go out and in your purpose to actually try to hear something in the dark, you just can't do it. You just can't do it. You just got to wait for something to come into the tent and grab you, because you won't hear them coming.
Rodney, your check's in the mail. Thank you.
Oh, and that $300 mark for going out.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me $300 to get all that peanut butter out of my clothes. The dry cleaner, I saw the bill.
That Lauren Smith can sure work you up on something, can't she?
It was all fun once you guys untied me from the tree, though. That was a little scary.
Rodney, what did you think of the tarp shelter? Now, I know it wasn't like staying at the Hilton, and I didn't have a chance because really when we mentioned it, I didn't realize that somebody would be coming with us on Saturday. So I didn't have a chance to build this tarp shelter that Larry wanted me to build. So we kind of improvised on it. But as far as being somewhat protective from the freezing temperatures, how do you think this tarp shelter worked out?
Hey, we survived. I mean, we all got our toes and all our digits. We're good. Yep. As long as we kept the fire going. It was a little smoky in there because, we had to have an end on one side. But yeah, I mean, makeshift, it worked. It got the job done.
Well, I got to thinking about this tarp shelter, and I think I've got a pretty good idea of how I'm going to do it the next time. What we wanted to do was to make a teepee tarp shelter, but I think I've actually came up with a little bit better idea that will give us more room in there. And, yeah, go ahead and talk smack, Larry Porch. You notice Larry always runs off when it's time to build a shelter. Yep. Oh, I'm going to go cut some wood.
That's right. I'm just thinking, man, I could have a hammock or I could have a tent.
I don't think a hammock was going to happen that night. Mm-mm.
Well, I've done it worse than that, but you can make it.
I haven't mentioned, but if you have any questions about this outing or for Rodney, put them in all caps so Larry can spot them easier. Have you spotted any questions yet, Larry?
I ain't even looked. I put a remark at the beginning about how sorry I am if I overlook any questions or anything.
Well, I saw where Heather asked earlier.
What did she ask?
She asked, what part of Mississippi did you live at Rodney?
Past Christiane, down on the Gulf,
Oh,
Oh.
right by Gulfport.
Well, she didn't even put her question in capital letters. That Heather. How about that?
Mog wants to know who was the lucky person to wear the bacon bikini. I don't think you want to see any three of us in no bikini. But I wish Larry would stop wearing them Speedos, though. I mean, that's kind of distracting.
I'm planning on it. I got some thongs in.
He's waiting for springtime for that.
Oh, Larry got him some butt floss.
I got the chaps to go with them. All right, Rodney. What do you think about not eating?
Not
'Cause
eating.
we didn't eat hardly anything while we were there.
Man, I think you were trying to fatten me up for the kill, is what it was.
Well, if
Here,
you
we
get
got our
miserable
sacrifice.
from
Let's
being
fatten him
full-
up. They'll come along and take him.
If you get miserable from being full, you can't run. See,
You were trying to feed me well.
Well,
Larry knows how to cook.
well, how was the food?
Food was great. Food was great. I just didn't want to eat and gorge myself where I couldn't run, get out of there. Have to get up in 3 times during the night and go to the bathroom. No, that wasn't happening.
Yeah, that's no fun when that happens, is it, Larry?
no. And don't eat taco soup whenever it's -5 degrees. Ooh, that's a bad deal right there.
Yeah, that's like when they take that water and throw it up in the air and it freezes and floats off.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I told Mark if we had to bust up and run, don't be offended. I'm following Larry. He's got the keys.
Yeah. Well, Rodney, talk about, we tried to deploy some equipment. Tell us what happened with all that.
You tell me, what happened to your FLIR? Is it working now?
I'll tell you what happened to it. Evidently, I plugged in the wrong type of cord to the charging bay and bent some of the little prongs that go along it to charge, because 2 of them are pushed back. So that's what happened to my FLIR. So now I got to send it in to get it fixed.
Wow. So much for going out with the experts, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not experts.
I'm telling you, that was crazy, though.
Yeah.
That wouldn't charge. Your batteries for your little recorder wouldn't work. Mark gave me brand new batteries from my flashlight, and they went dead after 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I so wanted that when we saw that eye shine, so I could click over there. We didn't have the FLIR. We didn't have anything. We couldn't confirm anything.
We had night vision, but it was further out of range.
It was too far away.
Let's talk about what I didn't see it, where I was laying at in the shelter.
Mark, why didn't you see it?
Look, it was below it was below 32 degrees, and I was wrapped up in that sleeping bag.
Yes.
It's like a pig in a blanket.
Next to the fire, and I wasn't about to unzip and come up out of there and look at what y'all were looking at, but I was listening to y'all, and it wasn't like y'all were getting excited, but y'all were really doing a pretty good job of doing a play-by-play and of what y'all were seeing, and y'all were both seeing the same thing. And I think Larry saw it first about 2 hours and it disappeared, and then it came back, and it so y'all just go ahead and talk about this possible eye shine.
Whenever I first saw it, it was about 2 to 2:30, and I could tell it was some distance away. It wasn't real close, but I knew during the day it had been cloudy, but right at sunset, it was pretty clear. But I wasn't sure at the first time I saw it whether it was clouds going across a star or something like that. And after it went away and I didn't see it anymore, I just assumed that it was a star and it got cloudy. But as I was laying there a couple hours later, still watching, I saw it again, and it was pretty bright. I did film it on my iPhone, but I mean, it's far away, and all it is a little speck of light on the video. But to me, it looked like it was moving down and to the left. And about, I don't know, I watched it for maybe 5 minutes the second time, and Rodney rolled over, and I told him what I was seeing. And about that time, something woke you up out of your coma, Mark. I don't know what it was, but you rolled over, and I asked Rodney if he could see it, and he could at that point because the fire had died down a little bit. And he watched it, and what did you see, Rodney?
I saw an orange dot. Looked like eye shine. It went to the right, and what I saw, you apparently didn't see, but I saw 2 dots up to the left of that were like a bluish green color.
Okay, that's and what I was seeing.
They were looking straight at us.
Yeah.
And where that orange dot was just kind of like one, but it was moving. And then it moved back to our left.
Okay.
So something was either pacing, and I knew what I felt. It couldn't be a star. It couldn't be anything like that because it was way too low. It was right across the creek, and I knew that hill went up there, that ridge. There could be nothing over there.
Right.
But I saw those 2 dots, and they were there for a few seconds. They disappeared, and then they came back, and then they were gone. It was cool. I so wanted to shine over there. We just didn't have the equipment.
Did you ever think that you saw it blink or anything?
No.
Okay.
I saw it moving, but I also had the fire right in front of me, and the smoke was coming up from it. And we were afraid to move because whatever was over there would, may it take off.
Yeah.
So that would kind of blown the whole thing, but just trying to take in what I could see from the position that I was at.
Right.
Rodney, I just wanted to ask you, didn't at one time that you see where this shine was 2 different colors?
I saw the orange that Larry saw, then I saw the bluish greenish, and they were 2 of them. And it looked like they were looking straight at the fire.
Well,
they were faint because I walked over there the next morning, and it was quite a ways away, where that area was. I think that was Deadfall that was over there. But that was right in the area where we saw the eye shine.
I know as we were
apparent eye shine.
I know as we were talking about it that night, we were trying to just kind of troubleshoot everything with it, and was wondering if the eye shine was actually above the ridge line. But soon as the sun come up from where you were laying, there was no doubt that it was towards the bottom of the ridge. We were down in a bowl, and there was no doubt that whatever it was it was pretty much parallel with us, 100 to 150 yards away from us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that answered Bama's question. He was wanting to know approximately how far it was, and I would say it's right, 100 to 150 yards. What I saw, Rodney, is that about what you saw?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was about 100 yards over to that deadfall.
Now, the next morning after we'd seen this, what did you do?
Well, after I got up, I walked across the creek, walked over there to see if I could see any sign, anything over there disturbed. You know, that deadfall, I mean, it kind of like a blind. Something could get back there and just hang out and watch, our camp. But I didn't see anything disturbed over there, so nothing to report or take a picture of or anything.
Right.
Spencer wanted to know what kind of light was illuminating the eye shine. And the only light we had on at that point was the fire. So,
well, there was a half a moon, and there was a campfire.
Yeah,
that's right. Mark, did you want to talk any more about the eye shine or any of the other structures or anything we saw possible?
Well, before we get into that, I wanted to ask Rodney, other than me and Larry being on his high pedestals, I can't even say that with a straight face. Oh, how arrogant.
I'm not going to answer that with a straight face either.
And you know how I love arrogance. But who has influenced you, Rodney?
In the Bigfoot world, not in the musical world.
Well, I spent the last 3 years listening to the Outlaws. I listened to all the podcasts. I listened to your podcast. I do listen to a lot of Saskron, just for the stories. I mean, it's just a subject I'm interested in. After meeting, people at the meet and greet, I'm like, I can trust these guys because nobody is going to do what they do and travel and do what they do without, conviction and a true belief in this subject.
Well, the reason why I asked that, and I am for once pretty sure that Larry will agree with me, but the evidence that we found in there, like the twisted tree bow, your observation of that evidence and how you didn't jump to conclusions, it really impressed me. Is this a natural skill you have, or is it something that you've learned from other researchers, or a little bit of both?
I've learned just not to jump to conclusions. I mean, it could be a hoax. It could be the real deal. I mean, you just got to take it for what you see. It was impressive. I don't see anything else doing that, but you don't just, oh my God, a Bigfoot did that,
Yeah.
Right.
You take, like I told you guys there, you just take everything with a grain of salt. Anything, that has to do with this subject. But what we did see was very impressive. And I don't think that somebody went down in there and and did those, tree bows and tree twist.
And
I don't think,
and
but
yeah, they were all over. We spotted them all over, but that one that was actually twisted, and the way that you observed it and looked at it, and I could just see the gears turning in your head as far as you saying, well, like, how many men would it take to take the top of this tree and come down and twist it and break it like that? And it was something that was very unnatural. And like, you can't even put that on. It was fresh. So
it was fresh.
so you couldn't,
that break,
yeah,
it was dry as could be.
yeah. So you couldn't say that was from last winter. And right beside of it was actually a dead cedar tree. And that, if it was snow related, then it would have snapped that. And then we found the dead cedar tree that had probably been on the ground for a couple, 3 years laying on top of it. And here we're looking at this fresh break. I just thought it was really a cool piece of evidence.
It was. And the tree bow, they were all right around in the same area. And what was cool is they're all pointed pretty much in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well, from what I've learned from you guys, could be towards a resource, whether it be salt or towards water. Maybe one of those old houses had there was a place where they could get out of the weather. I mean, we didn't have that much time just to explore everything over there. So
that's true. And with those old home places, they had to have an old smokehouse or salt curing house. They had to have fruit trees. They may have died at this point because those houses seemed to be pretty old. But anytime there's an old home place, you have, a possibility of fruit trees and the salt from the smokehouses and stuff, which is always interesting. And it's pretty neat, some of the old stuff we saw laying around those old houses too.
It was quite spread out. And I don't know. I have a lot of sympathy for those people that whenever the government come in there and kick them off their own land that's probably been in their families for generations.
Yeah.
And thanks, government.
They're always here for you.
Any more questions, Larry?
Yes, Heather wants to know, Rodney, what have you learned about Bigfoot that has changed what you previously held a belief of what they are or what they are capable of? And I always add on to our good questions and make them worse. I'm sorry, Heather.
Well, since I started listening, to all the podcasts and I still believe they're flesh and blood. You just got to keep an open mind. Because who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what they are. What I've learned that surprised me is there's more than one type, or so they say. The more apish looking, and then you have the more patty type. So, I'm interested to find out, what kind we have around here in Kentucky. And, Kumbo speaks of a lot of sightings, a lot of reports on the Kentucky-Tennessee border. I love that area, because, that's where I could research It's close to home.
Well, you enjoy kayaking in that
Mm-hmm.
area and fishing with your family. And I got thinking about that this week. It can be sometimes hard to find a partner that you mesh well with. And I just got to thinking that, and this was really your first outing as far as being out in the field like this. And I thought, this is something if you took your son out and said, look, let's jump in the kayaks, let's go out and do some fishing and be looking for, we can throw a tent and or some type of shelter in here with us. And if we find a good secluded spot that's pretty much waterlocked and landlocked, then we'll just set up camp here and tonight and see what happens and get up early in the morning and go back to fishing. I guess I just always look for strategies that I can use, and I really hope that you enjoyed yourself with us, that it might spark that interest and coming out. And of course, you can always come out with Larry and I. And
I had a great time. It was phenomenal. Great experience, especially in my first outing. I didn't really know what to expect. How you guys set up your tent, your gear. We climbed down the mountain. I find a machete in my hand, clearing out, trees. You gonna learn bushcraft real quick, boy.
Well, we've got a couple of questions here, and either one of y'all can answer this first one. Fletch Explorers wants to know where LBL is because he's not sure. And if y'all can't explain it, I'll be glad to. But
go ahead, Rodney, because you grew up. You grew up going there as a kid.
Hey, Rodney.
What's that?
Welcome to Beast TV. Go ahead.
Well, LBL is, I would consider it down by Murray, Kentucky. Let's see, what else is there? Hopkinsville? No, that's an hour away.
Dover's on the south end.
Paducah. Grand Rivers.
Don't forget Dover, Tennessee is on the south end.
Yeah, Dover's on the south. Grand Rivers is on the top. And it's between the two lakes that they built. The government went in there and dammed it up and made, lakes on each side.
What lakes are they?
Lake Barkley and Kentucky Lake.
Which are fed by what rivers?
Is it Tennessee River and
the Cumberland River? The Cumberland River's on the east side. Tennessee River's on the west side. Hopefully that explains it a little bit. Anyway,
you see how Larry does, people.
How do I do, people?
As soon as Rodney pulled up, Larry started badgering him. And I told Rodney, I said, I'm so glad you're here. It's going to take a little bit of the heat off me.
Well, the only thing I got out of Larry for the first 2 hours was bounce, bounce. We're gonna build a camp, bounce, bounce. We're gonna build a fire, bounce, bounce.
Yeah, I'm glad I forgot that.
Yeah, you have been inducted into Slade Monk vocabulary. Bounce, bounce.
That's right.
Bounce, bounce.
That's exclamation points right there. Bounce, bounce. All right, Bama Murdoch wants to know if we had any tree knocks or tree falls.
Not that I heard. Of course, we still have audio to review, but I didn't hear any type of knocks or.
Whenever we were hiking around them old home places, I heard something once, but I don't know. It wasn't a tree falling, but it could have been a wood knock, and it could have been a limb break.
Yeah.
And it could have been natural too. I don't know. I just heard that one thing one time. Rodney, you remember hearing anything?
Oh, nothing caught my attention as far as tree falls, knocks,
All
anything, any vocals, anything that we heard.
What about? Didn't you have some more questions, Larry?
I'm looking. Do you have any more?
Calm down.
Easy.
Easy.
Sandy Reed, did y'all hear talking or mumbling while y'all were out there? Sandy, we did. Occasionally, Mark would talk in his sleep, and that's what we heard. I don't know what he was saying, but he was saying something. I don't know if it was mind speak with a Sasquatch. Rodney, what do you think? Did you hear it?
I heard nothing. Mark snoring. That was it.
You didn't ever hear him mumbling, talking in his sleep?
No.
I heard that a couple of times, but not. But Sandy, we didn't hear any Bigfoot talk or anything like that, unless someone stepped close to the recorder and we just hadn't reviewed it. But we didn't hear it with our own ears anyway.
Let's see. Robin asked what kind of recorder we used, and that night we used a Zoom H4n recorder, which records in the WAV format. It's a very good recorder. And I also have strapped on my walking stick a small Sony recorder. And so those are the recorders that we had with us.
I had a small Sony too, and the batteries were dead in it. And Mark gave me some new batteries, and they were dead. So we never.
What's the common denominator here? Mark giving batteries that are bad.
Yeah.
Where
he gets them?
Harbor Freight.
They give them to him for free.
Well, where was your batteries at, Larry?
Well, my beautiful girlfriend had put them up, and I didn't know where they were at.
Oh, so you're going to blame Debbie.
Yeah, it was Debbie's fault.
Oh, good grief. Good grief.
I found them, though. I know where they're at now. But no, I really didn't think. I had them sitting on the counter, and I didn't think about it because she put them up in the cabinet, and I walked out the door, and I thought about it when I got to camp. I was like, hey, I bought some AA and AAAs, but they're at home. So what can you do? Let's see. Did we smell anything while we were out there?
Just Larry. After he ate that beef stew.
What about them baked beans?
Yeah. You were the only one to eat the baked beans, wasn't you?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're the one who got to ride home with him, Mark.
It wasn't that bad. But, well, once Debbie got on to me about saying that about the batteries, the chat died.
Everybody's afraid to say anything now.
Uh-huh.
You're about to get corrected when the show's over.
Mog asked, did we hear any coyotes?
Yes.
Yes.
He was asking Rodney. When
Sure
was
did.
the first vocalizations we heard from the coyotes?
Yeah. Right when it got dark.
Yeah. And the first part of the vocalization we didn't catch real well because we were aggravating each other most likely. But we know the end of the vocalization was definitely coyotes. But we heard them 3 different times.
Yeah.
At sunset, and then maybe around midnight, and maybe around 4:30, which was close to when we saw the last eye shine. But they weren't close.
And just thinking out loud, seems like a common denominator is whenever we go into these areas that we have researched on the topo maps and that look like good areas and find sign, there's not a lot of animal activity in that area. Did you notice, Rodney, that there wasn't a lot of squirrels barking and birds chirping in the morning? It was dead, wasn't it?
It was dead. The only thing I saw was the birds flying around overhead when we were driving in. Once we got there, there was nothing. Never saw anything. The only thing we saw animal related while we were there were the droppings on the game trail.
Yeah.
And the vocalizations we heard from the coyotes. You said you heard turkeys that morning as well.
Uh-huh. I heard a jake and a hen in the morning. And for probably about 5 minutes, and then that dissipated.
I missed Wood Booger Farms question somewhere because I saw his comment that I was afraid to ask it and I can't find it. So type it out again. Someone asked what part of LBL did we go to, and we were probably 3 or 4 miles south of the home place toward the Cumberland River.
Mm-hmm.
We can't get too specific. And Mog asked, is there a chance that the eye shine may have been canine, coyote, raccoon, anything like that?
Usually when we see raccoons or yotes, their eye shines are constantly moving around. But these, according to Larry and Rodney, they were moving very little, and they stayed behind the downfall.
And it was great. Let's see. I had D asked what kind of cheap recorder was good, I think, and I missed it because it scrolled away. Yeah, what's a good cheap video recorder to use if that's possible?
Video recorder.
Yeah, video recorder.
Okay, I'm kind of partial to the Canon VixFees. You can pick them up off eBay. They've got the R600 models, then the R700 models came out, and now I think they're up to R800. And so you can pick up a used one that's very reasonable, and the batteries are inexpensive to be able. Usually when Larry and I go in, we've got anywhere between 4 and 6, 7, 8 extra batteries with us so that we can change them out. But those batteries are pretty inexpensive, and you can put, I think, what is it, 64? I think I got a 128 gigabyte card in it, so it'll hold a large card in it.
How much would the cost of that Canon be?
the Canon M50s that we have.
Oh, those. Okay. I was thinking you were talking about your video recorder.
Yeah, the video recorders. You could probably pick up a used one for. I'm just guessing, but I would say probably about $75 on eBay.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap. You could also buy, which GoPros are a little expensive, but they come out with a GoPro 8, I believe. I saw GoPro 7s in Walmart for about $200 or more, a little bit more, maybe $230. But those cameras take a real good picture. They have built-in stabilization and this and that. The only problem with them is their battery life is not real long.
Yeah.
So, but you can buy a rechargeable battery pack and plug it directly in and run it the whole time, and that makes it a lot better. But if you're wanting a handheld, what Mark said, the Canon, and if you're wanting something to video the whole time without your hands being tied up, a GoPro or any of those type action cameras. All right. D. Stewart asked any tree limbs breaking or vocalizations, and I thought we answered that. Did we answer that?
Yeah.
All right. Wood Booger asked, do y'all think if you helped Mark with a shelter, he wouldn't fall asleep early from doing all the work?
I actually gave them every opportunity to go to sleep, and I would have taken first shift. I stayed outside that shelter for, I know, 45 minutes while they were in there, and they could have gone straight to sleep. So there's no sense of no belly aching out of them two.
We made a pact to stay up and see what was going on.
I just thought it was creepy. Mark's sitting there watching us trying to go to sleep. I ain't going to sleep.
Kept sharpening that knife and that machete. I hear you. Jeff Townsend's on here. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. My partner.
All right. Let's see here. Spencer said he thinks that's creepy too, Mark. Oh, all right, Rodney. The creme de la creme. What did you get out of this experience?
Well, I got that you guys you're cool, as I knew you were anyway. It was a good experience to see how you guys really do things. What you guys carry with you on your backpacks is amazing. I don't know how you made it up the hill with all that equipment when we were done Sunday morning. I'm thinking like, do I really need this, this sleeping bag? Do I really need this backpack? Because I can make it up to the Jeep a lot easier without it. But you guys are amazing. I mean, all the equipment you carry, you set up, it's a lot of work. That was amazing. I don't know. I probably wasn't prepared for that. Because usually when I go camping, it's like, okay, you pull up the car, break out the tent, and there you go. But this is a whole different beast, so to speak. Taking everything and all your equipment with you, through all the terrain, through the trees, bushes, to get to where you want to go, and then build your camp, then build, cut firewood. So you got plenty of firewood for the night. It was just kind of an awesome thing to see and experience. Very tiresome experience.
Yeah.
I got home, took a shower. I went to sleep for 4 hours. And then I got up to use the bathroom. And I'm like, say hi to the wife. I went back to bed 8 hours later, I wake up on the same shoulder in the same position. And my shoulder's like going, what in the world are you thinking? You get up every hour and a half to pee and change position. I was wore out, man. It was yeah, it's an experience.
Yeah.
Eye-opening experience.
It takes a lot. And really, it's better if you go in for 2 or 3 days because you can rest a little bit from the hike in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can really do reconnaissance of the area better than what we did. But yeah, just a 24-hour in and out, that's that's rough.
Yeah.
And it was a whirlwind. It's like, okay, I'm watching the podcast. Whoa, I'm going Bigfooting with these guys in a day.
Well, we all survived, so that's all that matters. All right, Lori wants to know how we choose our locations. Mark, tell Lori how we choose our locations. Is he still there?
Yeah.
Or did he fall out of his chair?
Me or Rodney?
I thought you did. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, Lori wants to know how we choose our locations.
Well, it goes back over 20 years for me. And I had a man that really taught me how to deer hunt. And he was a Army Ranger, and he made me go to the Army surplus store, get a compass. He taught me how to read a compass. And so whenever we would go out and deer hunt, that would be the first thing that he would do is pull out the topographical map of the area. And he taught me how to study it. And as far as looking for, most animals will take the path of least resistance. And so that's how he taught me to study it. And then once I got into boogering, what I found with, or what was taught to me with the MABRC is the boogers will not take the animal trails. They will have their own trail that runs parallel with the animal trails. And I call them booger trails. So whenever we go into an area, we've got a pretty good idea of where the normal animals, their travel routes, and we look for those, and then we start scouting out for booger trails and possible booger signs. So that's where we're kind of at now with it.
It's always good to look for water sources, food sources, and that type of thing. Also, within the parameters of what Mark said, we generally always try to have a small creek within a certain amount of distance from us, or even a larger one. But they seem to like the waterways, it seems, and we've had a lot of luck just going around those locations. If you look at a topo map of LBL in accordance with the road maps, it's kind of difficult sometimes to get in a real secluded area because, I don't know, what do y'all think? The roads are blocked off every 2 miles, probably?
Yeah.
2 miles square, probably. So sometimes it's kind of difficult to get away. Like Saturday, whenever we went in there, we took a very untraveled road that's an old cemetery road that went from the trace to another road. And we got in there and got set up, and I heard a vehicle up there by my vehicle. And I started out thinking they were stealing something off my vehicle or something, and got up there, and it was a whole group of off-road Jeeps that were coming through there. So that made me feel better, so I went back to camp. But it's hard to totally get away from everybody at LVL, because you may possibly run into a coon hunter, a squirrel hunter, turkey, which it's not turkey season, but any hunting season, the hunters can easily get around most of the terrain there. But we try to get as secluded as possible, and we try to look for different things on the topo map that make it a little more in our favor of having an experience. So far, what's your assessment of our experiences there at LBL, Mark?
I like LBL, and I like that spot that you picked out. And after we camped out there, I got to thinking, I thought, this is one spot we want to come back whenever me and you and Dan and Vicky and Shelly are with us, whenever we're just riding the roads, making calls. I think to get on an adjacent road of what we were on and making some calls and seeing if we could get some responses coming from that area. And we're just going to have to spend more time in there. And it's kind of like what Rodney said. You go in there and, you got to make camp, and you're only staying overnight, and there's not a lot of time for recon. And maybe we just need to go up there and spend the day reconning the area, and then come back at night and make some calls and see if we can get some responses and mark them on the map where these responses come from. And we already feel like that we found a booger trail in there. And we did find sign, and it was...
And we have had responses from this area before, too. That's why I initially looked at it.
Uh-huh.
So I think your dogs are getting hungry.
Those are Rodney's dogs.
Oh, okay. All right. Do we have any more questions, Mark?
I don't know. We need to look. We're over an hour into this, so we should, I guess, think about starting to wrap this up a little bit.
One thing I did catch on here, Orphan 97 said that he had an encounter in the northern end of LBL. So we would definitely love to hear about that encounter.
Yeah, 97. Put that in the comment section once this is released, and tell us about it. And shoot, if it's something that you would like to come on the show and talk about, we'd love to have you. We love hearing booger stories.
That's right. D Worm thinks we're about to melt our tarp tent down, but we didn't get it melted. We did all right with it.
There was nothing melting that night. I promise you. Even though I did get a hole burnt in my sleeping bag all the way through.
Jeff Townsend wants to know how your monitor's working out for you, Mark.
Man,
say fantastic.
This monitor is the bomb. I can now actually see some of the comments. I've got it hooked up to a laptop, and I'm going to tell you, Jeff Townsend is an awesome dude. And, some people in this world are givers and some people are takers, but Jeff is definitely a giver, and I'm proud to call him a friend.
Yes, sir. No doubt. No doubt. All right. Woodbugger wants you to talk about digital camera versus film camera. He said beast of the woods, but I'm not technologically sound on any advice on digital versus camera, but I've always heard that the film was actually better to use, because if you caught any anomalies, that you were actually able to zoom in on them better than digital, because the digital pixelates. And that's all I know. How about that, Rodney? Wasn't that
That's all you need to know, Larry.
All right. I think we are caught up on the questions. Mark, you got anything else you want to ask Rodney about before he leaves here?
I don't guess not. Other than, do you think that you would ever go back out with us, Rodney?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I'd love to.
Are you going to eat this time?
You're obsessed with eating.
I do like it.
Remember, you're on a diet too now.
Yeah, no more mashed potatoes for a little while anyway. But by the time I get to go camping again, it might be over with.
You guys packed enough food for 3 days. I brought granola bars for a night.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
there,
yeah, that's.
Don't ever let that happen again.
Yeah, that's going overboard.
Newbie.
Well, is there anything before we go off the air, Rodney, that you would like to add?
No, I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity, for your hospitality, for showing me the things, that you did. Great experience. Thank you. I was honored to go.
You're welcome.
Well, you're more than welcome.
And, love your company. Turns out, me and Mark had some good things to talk about on that Sunday morning. That was a kind of surprise to me. It was pretty cool talking about music and some people and bands and things that we knew, and that was really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of name dropping going on.
And I didn't even drop Joe Walsh's name.
Well, you just did.
I just did. I slipped that in, didn't I?
Some other time.
One more question, Rodney. Somebody asked if you go kayaking on Energy Lake.
Yes. Yeah, I've been there several times. One of my favorite places to go, because you got all those little inlets you can go to, and they're pretty creepy.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of my favorite places at LBL to go is Energy Lake.
All right. Now that officially catches up on all the questions I see. If I missed your question, I apologize, but that seems to be it.
If your question didn't get asked, put it in the comment section, and I am sure that Rodney's going to be looking at the comments along with the rest of us. We always answer our comments, and we look at them, and we appreciate them. And if you hadn't hit that like button, hit that like button for us. It kind of helps us with YouTube and how they recommend videos. Larry, have you got any final words?
No, sir. I just appreciate Rodney coming on here and sharing the experiences, and glad he went with us. Had a blast.
Well, we want to thank all of our new subscribers and our faithful followers. Also, be sure to check out our field evidence videos. And let us know if there are any guests you would like to see on Beast TV. And as I say, we will sick Debbie Jones on them. Or if you would like to come on and talk about your evidence or research, just post it in the comments section. And please don't forget to tap that like button and leave us a comment. And as always, Larry and I want to thank Shelley Reed, Debbie Jones, and our moderators for all the behind-the-scenes work they do. and check out our sister channel, which is Larry's channel, Beast of the Woods, and our friends at Bigfoot Outlaws, Dixie Cryptid, Night Callers, and Bigfoot Odyssey. Thanks again to Rodney for coming on this week, and we will see you again. Same bat channel, same bat time. Night night, footers.
This has been a Sawdust production.